Hi, everyone. Welcome to Merch Money. Today we have Laura Burke on the call with us.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey. Great to be here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. And unfortunately, Amy Springer can't make the call today, so we will miss her. But I know it's her son's birthday today, so I don't know if that's why, but I'm sure they're out having fun. So anyway, I guess we'll just go ahead and go around and everybody introduce themselves. So Merch Mama, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Michelle Wentworth. I'm Merch Mama. And I know we usually talk about what's a positive thing that's been going on this week. And for me, I'm getting back into a regular routine of designing and uploading. Kind of in June, I was all over the place. I was everywhere traveling. And in July, it was hard getting back into the groove. So I really wasn't uploading much. So now I'm getting into that groove. So I'm getting myself ready for Q4. So that's my positive thing.
Awesome.
Great.
Right. Bree?
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm Greene. Let's see. I am all over the place right now. Like literally just doing a lot of traveling. And so we have our Columbus, Ohio meetup coming up. So I've just kind of been bouncing around between Minneapolis, and I was in Andover last weekend, working with clients, setting up their stuff for Q4 and tech and Orbit Kit and Printsy. And I mean, I'm just living print on demand, so I love it.
That's awesome. But I saw pictures of your warehouse today, so it looks like you shipped something out.
Yeah. So yeah, I still do some a little bit of Amazon FBA and eBay and Etsy and Bonanza and a few others.
These are like Miracle Lady. I don't know how she does it.
Keto, like endless energy.
That's awesome. Right. Amy.
Hey everyone, I'm Marketing Mayhem Girl, and otherwise known as Amy Nicholas, and I'm just excited for, I've been focused a lot on my activities that I'm doing in my business and making sure that I'm only doing the things I really, really enjoy doing. And the more I do that, the more fulfilled I feel in what I'm trying to accomplish versus just being like, I just got to upload shirts all day. Oh my gosh. There's just either you got to find the joy in that, or there's just, you got to do something else. But that was one thing. And I'm excited to be going to the Seattle conference in September. So if anybody is going to the merch conference, I will see you there.
Awesome. All right, and our guest, Laura Burke.
Well, I'm Laura Burke. I'm the creator of the Pod Squad. And do you want me to say what I'm proud of this week?
Yeah.
Yay. I cleaned up this disaster area. I call it.
Nice. just for us.
Yes, that's pretty much it. You know, I had a lot of personal things going on this week, so I didn't do much work, but I at least cleaned up the space because, boy, I can't work when it's a disaster. I mean,
I'm with you.
You're just so much more productive when everything is in its place. So
for me, it's tied to like the way that my brain is structured too. Like I have to have my environment organized so that then I can settle in and do what I have to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura, for being here. I know you're going through a lot of stuff, so thank you so much.
Well, I'm glad you called me when you had a cancellation because it worked. You know,
yeah.
It kind of gave me something to work towards. So
oh, good. And so many people like in this community are so nice and they're so giving, and it's like you forget that everybody's got all this stuff in their life going on and they still take the time to be here for everyone. So thank you so much for that.
No problem.
Yeah. And I guess I always forget to introduce myself, but I'm Helen Kinson, merch boss. The thing I'm proud of this week is setting up the Ohio meetup. And I really hope everyone can come. If you haven't heard about it yet, just join the Merch Money Facebook group and all the details are in there. But it's going to be in Columbus, Ohio on Sunday. And it's just like so funny how things work out. Like I'm going to be going to Nashville that weekend, and I've been wanting to plan a meetup somewhere along the way, either in Nashville or somewhere in between Virginia and Nashville. And I just hadn't gotten around to it. And I was just going to give up on it. But then Kelly out of nowhere messaged me and she's like, aren't you going to be around soon? Like, shouldn't we do a meetup? And it was just perfect. I was like, let's do it. So right then we just set it up, and anyway, I'm really excited.
And you're already getting RSVPs ongoing.
Yeah, and then Brianna could come, and I was so shocked by that because you're not close. You know, it's still a little ways for you. So this is awesome. Everybody's helping make it happen, and I know you've been messaging people. Kelly's been messaging people, so it should be a lot of fun. I know there's people who are coming that haven't even RSVP'd, so it should be a pretty good crowd.
I'm excited. I can't wait to meet everybody.
I can't wait either. I still have not met Brianna in person. So
I know. We're always like somehow passing.
Yeah, we've been at the same place several times, but this is the first time that we're actually
like ships in the night.
Yeah, it really was.
It's gonna be our energy level, Helen. We're like, oh, where are we going next?
Like Energizer bunnies passing each other. Yep. So anyway, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited about Laura being on the show. It's just, it's so fun to see everybody and see all of their progress. And Laura is just crushing it with Photoshop and helping so many people. So how did you get into print on demand, Laura?
Well, I started with Teespring in 2014, and I don't even remember how I came across it, but I was like, well, I can design, I'll try that. But well, you have to drive traffic to the listings. So since I stink at that, I didn't sell a lot of shirts. It was fun, but I just sort of put it on the back burner. And then in 2016, we started doing FBA. We learned it from Chris Greene, like everybody does.
Yeah.
And we were busy with that. We were actually spending the winter in Florida in our RV when we were doing FBA. And so that was kind of crazy because everything was in the camper. But when he started talking about merch, I was like, that's a better thing to do on the road, for one. And it's like right up my alley. So I applied in March of 2016 and was accepted in August 1st. And since we were still doing FBA, we just kind of we were wrapping it up basically. But so for those first 2 months, I didn't put much on merch. I made myself a couple shirts and didn't sell much. But in January 2017, then I was like, okay, I got to start getting serious about this. And then I got into Etsy and I got a Shopify store and T-Launch and listing stuff through Amazon Seller Central and just kind of, going in all directions, probably too many directions to begin with. But I thought, hey, Amazon's especially, they got the built-in traffic. That's going to be much better than Teespring. And it definitely has been, sell a lot more. So
awesome. And what did you do before?
I'm sorry, Helen. I say, were you in the design field before?
Yeah.
Long or before you were? So you already had that eye for what could sell or what could. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working on learning what sells because it's tough to design for someone else. Like,
sure.
I mean, there are people who buy things that I would buy, of course, but I also want to, appeal to the masses too. So it's not easy. I'm still figuring that out. But yeah, I started. Yeah. Started doing design right out of high school at a print shop / newspaper that my dad worked at. And then I just mainly was at different newspapers over the years, kind of, learned on the job. And the tools were a lot different back then. There was no Photoshop. It was all literally paste up, you paste up the graphics and the text. And then I got into Photoshop in the 90s. And since then, of course, that was a game changer. So then, graphic design became much easier and much more fun.
That's awesome. You got into Photoshop in the 90s. So did you do that on your own, or was that the newspaper telling you to do that, or how did that work?
That was, through my jobs. And then I got it at home too, once I discovered.
Cool.
Now we know why you're such a great teacher at it.
Yes. And I totally forgot to show this. I'm I have the pop socket that Laura made for me. So
awesome.
I don't know if you can see it very well, but it says merch money and I love it. So thank you, Laura.
Sure. Yeah, that looks good.
Well, awesome. So you have had a lot of experience with Photoshop. So what made you still want to start the POD group and all of that?
Well, I was seeing all these people on the bigger merch groups, like, critique my design. Why isn't it selling? This is my first design ever. And, I don't think most people who get into POD are, have any kind of background in design. At least you know, that'd be my estimate of the situation. So there was a lot of people looking for guidance, and there were a couple groups that talked about design that were, you know, built around that idea, but they weren't very active. So I thought, you know, my background dovetails perfectly with this need. Maybe I can fill this niche. So I had been teaching Photoshop to small groups and individuals over the years. And so I thought it's time to put it in fixed form, you know, put it in video form so that I can use it online. So that's what got me to, you know, started doing that.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you did it. I know it's been such a help for so many people.
I hope so.
Yeah, Amy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're so sad Amy's not on here because she just absolutely loves that group and can't like say enough good things about it. So
she's sweet.
It's such a supportive group too. There are a lot of groups out there that can really tear you down if you are one of those that post, you know, some of those newbies that post not so good designs and say, hey, what do you think? And then, you know, so the great thing is, Laura, is your group's very, very positive and very encouraging. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I appreciate that about groups that I'm in too. So it was like, I wanted to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people watching definitely want to hear your tips for Photoshop. So I know you were thinking of sharing 10 of your tips. Do you want to do that?
I sure can. The thing is, they're not really Photoshop tips.
Oh, sorry. Whatever. Any tip,
okay.
Designer tips.
Yeah,
whatever
it's tough.
I've got my notebook ready.
Yeah, we're ready. Any tips you want to give us, we will gladly accept.
Okay. Well, just, you know, like graphic design in general, I kind of split it into 5 different things about design, and there's not going to be anything groundbreaking here, nothing you haven't heard before, but
you never know.
I spend a lot of time cruising around on Amazon looking at merch shirts, and you know, there's a lot of really good designers out there. There really are, but there's also a lot who could use some basics. So I have 2 tips from each kind of aspect of design, and one is fonts. So I would say don't pick a font just because you like it. It should really suit the words. So, you know, fonts, you can go crazy. You know, we call ourselves fontaholics. We gather thousands of them. And so you want to use one, but if it doesn't suit, you know, it just isn't going to look good. So I have my little example here, if you don't mind if I show it.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody in my groups has seen this before, because the word swimming, like in the top one, this is the before version. Very angular, not a bad font, but it has nothing, doesn't have a swimming feel. So we changed it down here, have a font that looks more like water. And then the other lines in the design, it's a nice script, but that doesn't have a swimming feel either. So we made it into a font that kind of imitates the movement of arms and legs, you know, swimming through the water. So if you're thinking about that when you know, thinking about your niche as you design, you can come up with fonts that suit it and really drive it home and really appeal to the people who you're trying to appeal to. And so then the related thing would be, and you've probably heard this before, keep it to 2 fonts unless you know what you're doing. So, you know, there's designs with many, many lines of text, and they're all different fonts. And there's, you know, that can be done. That's a thing. But generally, you'd want to keep it to 2 fonts, maybe 3, but it's best if you know, stick with 1 or 2, and that's going to keep your designs looking more professional. So go ahead.
I have a question for you about the first piece there. For people that maybe don't have a design eye or any background in graphic design, like moi, when I looked at what I totally get what you were showing us with the picture. But for others like me, what would be some tips, or like, are there some things that we should think about when we're looking at a swimmer and going through 500 different fonts? I know you said pick one that suits it. Like, what should we be thinking, like, or looking at for clues?
I think that the thing that would make that easiest is if you have your fonts organized and if you have them separated. So like, I use Font Base, and I've made some videos about this in the group, and I put the fonts in different categories that I might need to look in later when I'm doing a design. So like I have a water category with fonts that look watery or that, you know, give that impression or whatever. And I have a scripty feminine category and a masculine sporty category, and all the different, if you get them all organized like that, then your 5,000 fonts becomes, you know, well,
1,000.
I did that actually.
Yeah.
I did it in a Google Doc for my designers.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, I think we've got maybe, I don't know, 75 to 100. Not a lot. It's really not. But it's helped so much when I'm looking at something and I see a shirt I want to do, but I'm like, ooh, that's a terrible example, you know. I don't want them to use what that person used. Yeah. And then I just refer, you know, and I come up with new ideas sometimes, like spacey and like, you know, vintage.
Yep. So if it, you know, it's going to take time to go through your fonts if you have thousands like I do, but it is so worth it. Totally a good idea, because that'll cut down the searching time. And if you use WordMarket or wordmark.it, like a lot of people do, if you pay the $2 a month, you can tag your fonts. So even without a standalone program, you can, you know, tag them so that later you can search certain characteristics.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So I can move on to colors. Then it's sort of the same thing with colors as it is with fonts. Don't use them just because you like them. You know, try to take a clue from the niche. If it's water, you know, it's going to be blue. Like this up here, orange and gray, that's not water, that's not swimming. So we kept the orange down here because it's complementary to blue, but blue is, you know, going to be the obvious choice for something like that. So, you know, in nature.
How do people know when it's complementary? I know this one from art.
Yeah.
It looks good. Is that the answer?
It looks good.
Can be. I mean, yeah.
Technically, there's a color wheel, so
yeah.
Blue and orange is complementary, right?
Yeah, it's complementary color. Yeah.
Yep. Red and green, purple, yellow. Yep. I don't know all the details, but there's a lot of good sites out there that show you.
Yeah, if you look up a color wheel, it'll show you like which ones are complementary.
Yeah, and if you want to do like
I found a site at some point too where they have color combinations that are popular. Like where, you know, sometimes you'll see something on Etsy where you're like, ooh, that's an interesting combination, but where the heck they come up with that? But there's a way that do that. That's pretty cool.
But how do you merge those complementary colors with choosing the color of the shirt? Do you know what I mean? If you have that blue and orange for the I'd rather be swimming, I mean, everyone's going to go, yay, black, we'll do black. But how do you, is there any type of, I don't know, advice you can give where if your colors are complementary on your text, what about for the shirt?
That's kind of my second point is keeping that shirt. Yeah, brilliant. Keeping that shirt color in mind, because it's tough to find, especially if you have more than two colors, it's tough to find two that are going to show up well on all the range of shirts. So I would recommend, if if it's a design you think it's going to sell well, that you're spending some time on making quality, make a light shirt version, make a dark shirt version, because it's just going to be too tough otherwise to cover it all. I mean, you can only pick 5 colors anyway, but if you want to hit all the people who, some like light, some like dark.
What was the website you said? Word something?
Wordmark and then .it.
Okay. I'll put it in there. Chat.
So yeah, that's with color. If you're more specific, you're going to be able to make it look good and not have to pick a shirt color that's like that you're going to regret when it shows up as the thumbnail. Since you can't pick the thumbnail, then your designs are going to look good on all the colors.
And Laura, what if they don't? Like, I have a few designs that may look only good on 3 color shirts, so I'm not going to pick 2 other ones. I don't know if that's the wise thing to do, just because I have an option for 5, but I can't find 2 other good colors in the shirts.
Well, I think that's good. I have a hard time limiting it because like you said, if there's 5 available, I want to give them as many choices, but that's what they say. Don't give the buyer too many choices or they don't choose. So
that's true.
Nothing wrong with that.
I almost think it like a 2 to max 4 is probably really where people should be listing. Only because I ran a Shopify store and noticed that having multiple types of apparel items on one listing, like t-shirt, v-neck shirt, long sleeve, whatever, it seemed like people just were like, whoa, this is too much. See ya, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found one of the sites, I think. Let me see what it's called. Color Lovers. Like color is spelled like COLOUR. And that's kind of a neat one where they have, it looks like they're ranked by popularity. Like you can click like or whatever, and you can scan down through which colors are complementary and kind of work together, and they're rated. So yeah. I'll put that in the notes. But that's
there's also some where you can like, I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
There's like, if you see a color combination you like, there's sites where you can, or Chrome extensions where you can just, it'll tell you what colors those are, what the hex color codes are for whatever web page you're on. So you can steal colors that way. And
oh, that's good to know. What's that website?
Yeah, what?
You know, I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's in my PDF of.
I don't normally pick my own colors, but every now and then I do, and it's like I get so confused with all those numbers and letters. I'm like, I was trying to do rose gold the other day, and I'm like looking it up online, like, what is the color combination?
Yeah,
is it color code? Maybe
that might be it. I have several color websites in that PDF, so I don't remember, but
there is one. There's a color code that's similar, Helen. That's but it's spelled COLOUR. But color code might be the one.
Does that have a .de on the end, or is that a .com? That's ringing a bell, but
.de.
Okay, that is what I'm thinking of then.
Perfect.
Oh, so then it's color. Then I really gave that.
The reason that I've been interested in colors lately is because I don't know if everybody who has pop sockets uses that merge resize tool, but you can change the color background. So it doesn't have to always be black. So sometimes I want to be looking up cool different colors. And so you have to put in the letter. So that'll be good for me to have that website to find what the codes are.
Where are you putting in the colors?
So do you use merge resize?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like a little circle that's black, and if you click on the black circle, a little like color things comes up, and you can put in any color you want. So I think I shared it in our group. I was trying to change it to rose gold, and that's where I was like, I don't know. I pulled up like 3 different versions of it. I'm like, which one's better?
So you just pop in the hex code and it'll change it? Oh, cool. I didn't even know that.
So you can make all different...
not to like make him charge for it, but I think that tool is really awesome.
That tool is amazing. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is secret information or not, but I think t-shirts sell just fine as pop sockets. And you can make it so many different colors and so many different things.
I'm with you.
So
like wanting to check it out now.
Oh yeah, it's so
everybody.
Fun. And now you're not limited to Amazon's colors. You can pick any color you want. So it's really fun.
Well,
especially with you teaching us what colors go with what topics. So like, you know, you can pick the right color.
Oh, so you can literally just like click on it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's even easier.
I guess I didn't realize how lazy I really am with my designs because mine are always just white.
No, sir.
Some of mine are white that my designer did. And I'm like, what happened to the black background? You know, like I was totally confused.
I'm always changing up the color backgrounds, always.
Yeah, I think that's a more selling point than just having white or black, unless you think specifically for that design it'll be better on it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing like sales for the ones that aren't t-shirts. I'm seeing sales on pastel colors for like specific to pop sockets.
Cool. All right, sorry, we sidetracked you, Laura. Go ahead.
No,
got all talking about design and colors.
No, that's the purpose. Well, I got a couple. Oh, somebody's made a sale there.
Oh, geez.
Oh my God, these things are cool.
Someone signed out.
Sorry.
That's the pretty merch sign out.
Well, I got a couple tips for layout. They're kind of obvious. You make the most important words or graphics stand out, not the connecting words or things that aren't as important. You see, sometimes I've seen shirts where like the word in and the are really bigger than the other words, and I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. And also, don't just throw everything on a design willy-nilly. It should have some sort of structure. You don't have to like left align it or center align it or right align it, but it should have some purpose to it. You should be putting information on there consciously in a way that makes sense. It does seem like, you know, sometimes I see shirts that are just like design vomit, where it's just all bleh. You know,
I've never heard that term.
That was the word in my head, and then you said it, and I was like, exactly what I was thinking.
Sounds horrible, but
Look at my shirts and says, "Wow, that's design vomit."
I look at some early ones I had designed, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that was.
well, I have those too.
Oh, that just really struck me as funny, Laura.
Laura, do you have any suggestions for non-designers to figure out what looks okay layout-wise? Like, you know, I would say, like, for me, when I started, it was like, fine, I'll just type it in like this. So,
yeah.
I didn't know what else to do. Well, let's play with, like, the, you know, the art.
Curvature. Yeah.
Yep.
So are there websites or courses or just something that you would suggest for those that are new to like get their feet wet a little bit in that and get comfortable?
I think that layout is like composition and layout is one of the things that trips a lot of people up. It really does, because I've gotten that question so much. Like, how do I know where to put this stuff?
Yeah.
And, you know, what I recommend is just get the stuff up there, you know, vomit it up there, whatever, just so that it's on the document. And then, you know, you can play with different ideas. And like in the course, I do have some suggestions. Actually, I'm not sure if I put this in the Pod Life group for everybody too, but like different things that you can do layout wise, like using arches or making the entire thing, words and graphics, form a shape on the shirt, or using like photography rules, like leading the eye to the important part of the design, stuff like that. So there's several different things that maybe your design will fall into one of them, or you can just, you know, move them around and be like, okay, this maybe tilting the whole thing on its side is what's going to work, or maybe putting it in a circle and the graphic in the middle. Or so there, you know, if you have these different possibilities in mind, then you can probably tell if your design is going to lend itself to one of those. Would
you say that there's like an easier way to cut the learning curve if you were just looking at other designs constantly and training your eyes for like what's selling? Does that help?
I think so. And I think the befores and afters really help too. And a lot of people are liking those too, you know, because you can see, like, a lot of people will say, if I throw something up there and say, what would you change about this? You know, some people comment, it looks fine. But then when you put the improved version on there, they're like, oh, then I can see what made it better, why it's better.
Okay.
So I think that is true. Looking at selling designs and looking at makeovers like that, I think that can really help people.
I think that would definitely help people without much of a graphic design background, because I can remember, like, in art, my tree did not look like everyone else's. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it does. But then when you put them up next to each other, it becomes very obvious that there were some details missing.
Yeah. Yep.
I like some of the comments. I'm in the chat right now. I'm so excited. I'm like so bad at keeping up with the chat. But a lot of people are like, oh my God, I need to check for design vomit. They're design. So, Misty said that, Planet June Bug. Yeah.
I think that's
Matthew Pate's asking if we brushed up on our German. We're gonna need that soon.
I think looking at your old stuff is a good indicator of how much more attuned your eyes are too. Like,
yes,
I look at stuff from like a year ago even, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I even sold that.
You have them still up. Every once in a while, one of mine will sell, and I'm like, whoa.
You're like cringing.
Yeah, like I should pull it down.
I am the same way. I'm the same way because I've just evolved so much, and I'm like, ooh, that's sold. Gosh, yeah.
It's like you want to
Brianna, you can't say that.
But you know what? A lot of the shirts on Merch Informer's like top 1,000 are really bad. I'm sure Laura notices. Like they're just terrible designs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination. I think that's why we all need to work together because, like Laura said in the beginning, it's like design is just one element of it. It's like how do you design for specific people? So you got to have the right words on there. You got to have something that's funny. You got to have something that's catchy. You got to, you know, the right keywords. So there's a lot that goes into making a shirt sell.
You definitely have to leave yourself out of it. Like I'm a type of person wearing a graphic tee. I like my stuff small. But that's not what sells. Big sells. So I'm like, okay, well, Michelle, you're not selling to yourself. You gotta make everything big.
What are you, wicked smart?
I'm wicked smart.
Oh my God, that was perfect, Amy. She
was the Boston showing.
Michelle, when you get fired up, like you're making a point, the Boston comes out.
I know, it comes out of me. But it's true though, you know, and yeah. But I just wanted to say that.
Good point.
No, we threw her off completely.
I know. I'm all messed up.
Glenn says if it sells, it isn't bad. I agree with Glenn.
That's my dad. He knows everything.
Yeah. No, but he's right. I mean, because honestly, guys, do we want to be like amazing designers with stuff that doesn't sell? Or do we want to be like decent eyeballs for stuff that
I think that's why we try to have all the different people on the show because everybody has a piece of the pie. Like good design is important, but you also have to have all the other pieces. So,
and also when people are pulling like lists of top selling designs, remember that it's really just a snapshot in time. So even though there's total crap designs up there, sometimes it might just be because someone had a good connection with, I don't know, like a soccer team or something. And they gave that link out. And for a short period of time, those sales were popping. And then that thing never sells again. So there's so many other variables that can come into play.
There's so many variables. And you don't know if they're running ads and they're losing money on every single sale. Like some people go nuts with like Facebook ads or AMS ads or all this stuff. So, I mean, everybody just has to like focus on their own business and do the best they can. But
Alan was asking if what design platforms do you all use and did you have a huge learning curve? So maybe directed at Laura.
I'm pretty much exclusively Photoshop and Illustrator and getting into Procreate with the iPad too, which is a lot of fun. But it is a steep learning curve, but I guess when you learn it gradually over the course of your job, it doesn't seem so bad. So I haven't been in the position of having to learn it quick, like for POD. So, it can be intimidating. I know.
That's a good point about having to learn it faster.
Yeah.
I think it depends on your interest level too. Like I think if Amy was here, like she loves that part. Like she loves a design piece, You're going to learn it quicker if you love it. And
that's true.
Yeah, but I think people, if they can get over that intimidation factor of these big workhorse programs, they're really not that bad, especially if you can follow directions, click this, do this, do this. And that's actually the easy part because what we're talking about, the design, that's the tough part.
That's true.
So, but Michelle, I wanted to ask you, talking about size, you said big cells, because I had a couple points under size. And what I was going to say is don't make the design a full 15 inches wide because it seems like it kind of just starts disappearing under the arms a bit.
Oh, right.
Or if on a 2X or 3X shirt, the design is like, humongous. So there's got to be a happy medium there. I kind of keep mine at about 11 or 12 inches wide. What do you guys do?
I think a lot of people like to wear it smaller, but the problem is that you're competing against all these other shirts and you have a thumbnail to work with.
Yes.
So if you go small, your shirt's going to get passed over and someone's going to click on the big, huge, enormous like one that's not going to look as good when they get it, but they saw it and they didn't see yours. So you gotta make it a little bigger. Like you don't want returns, but you gotta use that thumbnail space.
Right. When I say make it bigger, like I usually just like, you can't really see, but I kind of like it. I like a small graphic personally, but that's not what sells. I notice, you know what I mean? It's the bigger ones. I don't mean like totally huge. So it's under the armpit, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's a bigger look. Those seem to sell, because sometimes what I'll do is on certain designs, I'll make it a little smaller and then I'll make a bigger one. And I find it's the bigger one that sells.
Yeah.
I think it's literally the real estate it takes up.
I think so too, because I think a lot of people are like you, where they like the smaller, but that's not what they're buying because they're not noticing it. The smaller one doesn't stand out, so they're subconsciously clicking on the big, obnoxious, like colorful one, and then they get it and they're like, "Oh my god, why'd I buy this?"
Yeah,
probably right.
That's 22.
Yeah,
yeah. I think one thing too, if they had halfway decent mock-ups like Teespring, a la Teespring, you know, come on Amazon. I think that would improve sales across the board.
Absolutely.
Even with the wrinkled, I don't know, some of them just look like baggy tents. I'm like, it's so unflattering. Like, what woman is going to shop and look at the standard and be like, yeah, that's what I want? You know, I'm almost like, that was one thing I didn't like the premium for a women's fit because of the returns, but at least the premium has a better mock-up.
Yeah.
My opinion. Yeah. It's like a normal t-shirt anyway.
CM Elizabeth has a question for you, Laura. He said, does Laura have any go-to fonts?
Oh,
they're trying to get all your secrets from you.
Yeah, I love fonts so much that I don't know if I can pick.
She can't pick one of her ones down, Sam. You can't do that.
Narrow it down to like 2.
It's like me trying to make a Microsoft Word document.
It's font 746. What is it? No.
Go.
I do find myself going back to the same ones, but there are so many of those that I go back to that it's still hard to.
You probably have like a favorite in each big category.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Favorite sport one, a favorite.
What about like
one?
a script one, a girly kind of?
I like Hug Honey. It's got lots of glyphs too, so you can make it kind of fancy with typography. So that's one that comes to mind.
If you are not well versed in fonts, is there like a font cool kids club that people can go check out?
Right?
I
for dummies.
I have not been invited at all to that club. Somebody has left me out.
I get most of mine now from.
All my shirts would be in Comic Sans. Like,
oh yeah, please no Comic Sans.
Berkshire Wash.
I don't even know. I just like, oh man, I don't know what.
I change my fonts constantly though. I'll think of a design and then I'll do it and then I'll go, oh, that font looks horrible. Quick, let me change it. Let me do another one. Oh, it's a little better. And sometimes it's like third or fourth time, I'm like, oh, that's it. That's the one. For some reason, maybe it's me.
Yeah, sometimes when it clicks, you know it.
Clicks, yeah. It's not always the first one that comes to my head.
Creative Fabrica has that 300 days of freebies. I don't know if you guys are on that list, but every day there's a free font.
Creative
Fabrica.
Oh, cool.
So that's where I'm getting most of mine. A lot of them sort of seem to repeat or they're very similar. And if I feel like I can recreate it in Procreate, keep my own spin on it, I'll skip it, but I've gotten a lot of good ones.
I can't imagine ever being to the level where I'm like, oh, I'm going to put my own spin on this font.
I can't either. I was just thinking that, Helen. I'm going, wow, I am so far beneath you, Laura.
No.
That's what we're going to do a Monday morning.
We're going to just like be after the merch meetup, just be like, oh my gosh. We figured it out.
Fonts together.
We're putting our own spin on fonts now.
Yeah, well, when you're a font nerd, I want to start making my own fonts, really.
You should. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'd buy your fonts, Laura.
I would too.
Yes.
Well, then I'm gonna have to work on that.
You'll have to come back when you've done that. You'll come on the show again.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one about size is I would think about when you're creating a design, think about whether you might use it on something bigger someday, like a shower curtain or a duvet cover or a wall hanging. And if you're using Photoshop, make it big to begin with. You can always shrink it down for a shirt or a pop socket. But if you make a design for a pop socket and then later you want to put it on a shower curtain, not going to work. Not an issue if you're using Illustrator because that's vector. You can resize it without losing quality. But if you're using Photoshop, just maybe stop for a second before you design. And is this something graphical, something cool that would look good on, like on a bedspread? Then create it at that large size. And then you can shrink it down for everything else. And then I just had a couple of general tips. One is to have a family member or a friend look at your design. They may notice something right away that you became blind to because you've been looking at it and looking at it. And sometimes they'll see, well, the entire shape looks weird, or this is what I thought it was when I first saw it, or I can't read that font. So those things, sometimes they'll just go right over your head if you've been working on it, but somebody else can see it. And related to that is the other tip. The last one is sleep on it. I know most of the time I design and upload right away, but if you can, it's great to design, upload those the next day. And then the ones you design that day, upload those the next day. Because it seems like whenever you open it up the next day, you're like, oh, I could make that better. Something occurs to you that you didn't think of before. It almost always happens. So if you have the situation where you can do that, design one day, upload the next, and you might have a brilliant brainstorm that makes it really pop. So
great idea.
Yeah, that is a great idea.
Another tip about like showing your friends and family. Another thing I heard is like when you have it uploaded, if you're on the page that shows your shirt, but it shows all the other shirts on that same page on Amazon, have your friends and family pick out which one they like the best on that page. Because then it'll help you see, like, are you up to par with the other designers? Like, is yours being lost in the mix? Like, do they even see it? Just be like, keep picking the next one. Oh, man, mine was the last one picked.
Yep.
Yeah. It helps you be able to see, like, what are your designs, going to sell.
You need other people's eyes because you're going to be buying.
Page 432.
You have to show it to them right when you upload, so you get at least that new smell from Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Nowadays, it's hard to. That advice is back in the earlier days where it's easier to find your shirt.
Well, that's the top 10, guys.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Without being able to show you screen, I can't show you, Photoshop stuff, but hopefully those help.
That does help.
General.
I think those are great tips.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. My husband's been watching all these YouTube cooking channels. And, a lot of times they'll have a shirt on it and it's just plain text. And I'm like, they went to Amazon and they bought that shirt. Like, just plain text. Why am I making this so complicated?
Yeah.
And I know, Amy, you're in the low-hanging system, right?
Yeah.
And that's the idea there, is keep it simple. And it's tough to do when you like design. You want to make it all fancy, but...
Especially coming from the ads background, because, I mean, how challenging is it to sell a product on Facebook ad with just text? You have to have something that pops out of the news feed a little bit. But that being said, like, one of my best sellers was pretty much a text design with very minimal graphic elements, So I think it boils down to the message, at least 75-80%.
My top sellers are have moved from just text to essentially just text with, like you just said, just a few little details, but they really aren't anything that enhance the meaning of it. They're more like just decorative details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's so hard to know because it's like, I was thinking about it. I was thinking that most of mine are text and they sell better than the graphic ones. But then I was like, my text shirts I got from Brianna, and Brianna did the keywords. So I'm like, I feel like her keywords are better than my keywords. So I've been buying designs where I have to do all the keywords for it. And they're beautiful designs, but I'm putting the keywords. And I'm like, you know what? It might not be the graphic. It might be that I'm just not as good at keywords. And that's why they're not selling as well. So there's so much you have to balance and see, like, where is the problem? Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those balancing acts. You got to keep learning.
You could try like dumbing it down, like have another designer that you hire just on a per design basis, try to just make a simplified version and then use all the same keywords and everything. Then you can really test it.
Yeah, I will have to really test it.
One of
them has done amazing. So that very first one I talked about, the unicorn, that just keeps selling every day. Like that one's good. But some of the other ones, they just haven't quite caught on. So it's just like, okay, where's the issue? It's cute. Like, is it just a saturation? You know, I just have to go back and look and see. Like, I was talking to the Merch Money ladies about this earlier, where I was just like, you know, everybody asked me for design critiques and I'm able to easily look at theirs and be like, oh, do this, do that, do that. And then I'm like, wait, I need to go do that to my shirts. You know, you got to critique your own stuff sometimes.
I think there had been a question. Photoshop over Illustrator even for Laura?
For me, that's what I'm more comfortable with. So I use it most of the time. But going back to that thing about making stuff bigger for other products, Illustrator would definitely be the way to go there. But I think it's just whatever you're comfortable with. I think they both have their advantages. And of course you can, make them work together.
So you can go back and forth. Like if you had the AI file, you can move it to PSD.
Yeah, like you can copy something from Illustrator, paste it into Photoshop. And then if you paste it as a smart object, you go back into Illustrator and change it later. When you go into Photoshop, it'll automatically update.
Okay.
Like you can have a portion of your design over in Illustrator and then link them together that way. So
thank goodness for Creative Cloud, because I'm like, I had a bunch of designs early on that were PSDs, and then my more recent designers that use AI. So I was like, I gotta have somebody that has both, and I had both just because I pay for like the videographer software like Premiere Pro and stuff. I was like, just give me the whole suite. I'll take everything you got.
Darlene says she's learned so much from your class.
Oh, nice.
Darlene Cribbs.
Hi, Darlene.
Oh, Michelle commented about the Facebook images of text. Yeah, Facebook does not like, if you run ads, they do not like a picture with too much text. Because I think what it is, I think they think that you are trying to convince people with a bunch of text in your picture. Like they don't even recognize that it's a shirt. They just recognize that more than, I think what is it, 27%? Some weird number. Yeah, it's like over that certain number, if there's more than that that's text, then they're going to usually reject it. Or I have had it actually say it just limits your post. Like it's not going to be shown to as many people. Most of the time I would just ignore it and I would do just as fine. I think they just want to warn people because they don't like it, but I'm like, who cares? I'm going to sell it.
Well, Laura, did you want to talk about your design critique Facebook group, and then weren't you going to do a giveaway too?
Yeah. Yep. Anybody who wants can join the POD/merch critique group. You can post a screenshot, no live links, of course, or you can comment on someone else's. And of course, we keep it polite and professional, and not this design stinks, but give a reason why it might not work, or what you would do to make it better. And but some people are understandably nervous about putting their stuff in a group with other people who might be copycats. So I was going to offer some private critiques to a couple of winners, maybe up to 3 designs each, if they can answer some quiz questions.
Perfect. Well, now we'll see who is paying attention, who's learning.
We have a competitive crowd here, though.
I know. We got to be careful because sometimes people are not happy if
Yeah.
If they
And we'll
lose.
make sure that only,
Fast. Everybody's just fast. They're
and no more than one winner, right? In other words, like the same person can't win twice. So they're not
Sounds
getting
good.
six critiques instead of
Yeah. It's pretty easy. So what was the first POD I ever tried?
Oh, I know that answer.
That's a good one.
Did you guys get that? What was the first print on demand that Laura tried? There's like a delay of like, I don't know, it was like 30 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, body and beta.
Yep.
Good job.
Teespring was the answer.
Yep.
Awesome.
So how do they connect with you, Laura?
They can just message me. Are you linking the groups so that they?
All the groups are in the description, so you can connect through the groups or just message.
And okay, my second question is, what month and year was I accepted to merch?
Oh wow! Oh, I know that one.
I remember, and I know why I remember.
I'm surprised I remember that.
It's a funny coincidence.
I remember that, and I remember the date you took it seriously and really started going.
Dude, that's going to be your next question, probably.
Oh, body and beta is Tony Sheldon. Good job, Tony.
August 2016, right?
I don't think anybody got it, actually.
Nobody got it. Yeah.
Nobody got it.
I just do it.
I remembered it because that was the same month I got accepted.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were saying
Mitzi was close, but she was talking about when you applied.
Oh, okay. Well, however you guys want to do it, you could do a different question, or
yeah, maybe.
Since I blew it there.
No, they didn't get it.
Or if you guys have any ideas.
Maybe one of the tips.
How about your go-to font?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Sounds good.
I was taking notes.
So what was Laura's go-to font that she gave us?
Oh, somebody said Doreen got it. I do see Doreen said August 2016.
That's weird. Her comment came in like way later.
Was that after I
don't know.
And then Mitzi Taylor got, I think it got it right.
I think that's what I wrote. So that's what my notes say. Yeah, so Mitzi won one of them, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, should we go with?
Real quick, Ariana said she did see somebody typed August 2016 before we said it. Might have been like a lag.
We could give it to Doreen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sounds
So
good.
that's 3. Awesome.
Awesome.
All 3 of them to contact you, Laura? Is that how we're doing it?
Yeah. Yep. Just message me and do a private critique where they don't have to show anybody else.
Perfect.
Awesome.
That'll be awesome. All right. Well, did you want to say anything else? I know you're doing the well, tell a little about the POD squad. What did they learn? What is the benefits of being in that group?
Well, just lots of tutorials, doing actual designs for the most part, because I think that's the most helpful when you can actually do something, not just a boring recitation of, okay, that's what this tool does and this is what this tool does. And I mean, that's boring and you don't get anything done. So we make designs, and when it's, when those tutorials are done, we give that design away in the group in a giveaway. And I just realized it's getting kind of dark in here. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can still see you.
Okay. But yeah, so that's what we do. And then, try to have contests and challenges and stuff like that. And you can ask me to do a certain effect or whatever too. I have a running list of things people want to learn how to do. So I just tailor the tutorials toward that. But
That's
the stuff,
awesome.
Anything that I was going to talk about after, because it's what the group members need to learn. That's the most important. So
I remember I was watching one of the videos, and it was I was just happened to be on there, and I was like, wait a second, she's designing a shirt for Marketing Mayhem Girl, I think was the one.
Yeah.
It just happened to be the one I was watching, and I was like, wait, she's talking about Merch Money. Awesome.
Yeah, it just worked out to fit that in there. So
yeah. So all right, awesome. And then I know you added the young podpreneurs. What was it? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, I think Young Podpreneurs program. So basically, with any adult purchase of the course, a young person can get access for free, whether that's their child, grandchild, nephew, neighbor kid that they babysit for, or big brothers, big sisters, or somebody that in a mentorship kind of situation where they can both kind of learn together. Because I think it's a great thing for kids to learn. I know a lot of them use apps for designing, but if they learn Photoshop and Illustrator, that's a great skill that's going to do a lot for them in the future, whether they decide to work for themselves or not. That's a great skill. So I know Amy's 2 boys are trying it, and Monty Whirl's son is going to give it a shot. He was excited about it. So we've got four kids in there so far, and
I think it's
nothing
awesome.
to update yet, but it's just just kind of a pilot program to see if it works and see if people like it. So
yeah, I think it's great. And it'll prepare them if they decide to go into graphic design in college or something. Like you're not gonna be able to just go on your app. Like they're gonna make you learn all these tools. So it's a good head start.
Yeah. And it's planting a seed for something that they might want to go into.
Right.
And exposing them to something that, hey, this is something I have a talent in. And, I think that's great, Laura.
I even think of it too, no matter where they go or what they do or what path they go down, having this in their back pocket to supplement is like amazingly valuable.
Definitely.
Yeah, because if you learn those color combinations and you learn all of that stuff, like that helps with marketing. If they go into marketing, it helps with anything just to see if it looks good and catches people's attention. So,
and there's just so many regular 9-to-5s where that's a valuable thing to know how to do, So, and I helped my nephews do some shirts and some friends' kids, and boy, they're so excited when their shirt is up there for sale. And a couple of them have had, other people buy the shirt that they designed for themselves, and they're just so excited because it's validating,
Yeah.
Somebody liked my design enough to buy it. So, yeah, I think it's fun.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Laura. I really appreciate it. Is there any last things you want to say or anything that we forgot?
I don't think so, but if anybody has any, questions or problems or...
Did we miss anything in the chat? Anybody? Amy?
I think that was it.
I think that's it. So guys, make sure you click on the links. We have her. There's a Facebook group that anyone can join. And then there's her paid POD program. And a YouTube channel. I have to check that out. I didn't know you had a YouTube channel.
I just started. There's only one video.
Okay. Well, if you all subscribe, then you got to start putting more videos up.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. You gave us such great tips.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you next Monday.
See you next week.
Bye. Bye.